What up, guys? So, initially, I wanted to do a different build first before I got into this one, but if you take a look at this box, it's actually kind of bent, so I kind of want to start this one to make sure everything is working fine. Now, the motherboard does look fine, like I took a look at it, so I think I'm gonna, and all the parts for neither PC that I wanted to start are here anyways, so but this one at least I can move farther along, so I think I'm gonna start with this one. So this is gonna be my personal home entertainment system. So let's start. First things first, we got the motherboard, ROG Strix B450. It is next gen 3000 ready, so I am going with a second gen processor at this time, but as I upgrade my main rig, I'll be grabbing those components and putting it into this rig. So it's a future build. So this one's always going to be progressing as I keep on putting things into my system. Next item is the graphics card. It's a Ryzen 32000G. It's a second gen processor with integrated graphics. It does come with a cooler, but we will not be using it, and I'll show you why. Like I said, it's a 3200G with integrated Vega 8 graphics, but I chose this because it's low powered for what I really need. Like I don't really need anything special. Like I said, it's gonna be a home theater system, but later on the line, if I wanted to upgrade, since I grabbed this motherboard from the second generation with a updated BIOS, I could use the new gen. So I would have needed one of these anyways, but it looks like the motherboard is already set up for it, so but it doesn't matter. Still an awesome little card. So not a card, chip or APU, not CPU, but yeah. There she is. Look at that thing with all its glory. Awesome. Actually, let me make sure none of the pins are actually bent. Now, this is the fan that it comes with. As you can see, it's small, has some small heat sink. It's not really that big, but it's a small little fan, but it'll get the job done, especially for this processor. But again, I want to upgrade in the future. I want to get something a little bit beefier. Now, for my old build, for my current rig actually, it came with, I ordered a 3700X, and it came with this beefy cooler. As you can see, this is the Wraith Prism with a bigger heat sink, so this would be way better for cooling. So I'll be using this for my current rig, which I didn't end up using for that rig. So yeah, that's what I will be using for this build. For RAM, we have some T-Force DDR4 3200, 16 gigs. That's pretty much all we're gonna need. Comes in this awesome red, so red's gonna be a common theme as you'll come to see in this build. It's all gonna be housed in this case, and I have some more fans for this build. Here's actually our motherboard. We have an RGB header here, a couple of them over there. But yeah, I'm gonna start putting this together. So let's start with the CPU. First things first, this is not gonna be a full build guide, but I'll put some things here and there. First things first, we're gonna lift up this little retention arm that's sticking up. We're gonna line the CPU. There's a little triangle. Let's see if I can get it on camera. If you take a look on the bottom corner there's a little white triangle. We gotta line it up with the little triangle on that corner up there. So we're gonna place it gently and it'll fall into place, as you can see. Then we'll just grab this retention arm and push down, and it should click, and the CPU is now inside the motherboard. Now if you had an M.2 storage, this is the time where you could either install it up here, or this motherboard actually has these already pre-installed right here. I'm not going for an M.2 for this build because, like I said, this is an entertainment PC, so it's kind of on a budget, so it's not, I don't need anything crazy. I do have an SSD for a faster boot up, so it's not going to have a hard drive, but yeah. So let me install the RAM. So our RAM sticks are actually really easy. What we want to do is, you see that little notch, you want to line them with that notch. So we're going to open up, actually let me find out which opens up. Let's see. Some motherboards, the bottom one's also open, but this one doesn't seem it. So we want to run this in dual channel, so we want to open this one here and the last one. Always refer to your owner's manual. But for this one, that's the recommended if I'm running dual channel. So it actually says it here on the motherboard as well. Not all motherboards are going to come like that, but if you look at it, it wants an A2 and B2, and it's little asterisks. So what you want to do is you put it, align the little notch like I was talking about, and then you just want to push on it until you hear a little click, and that means that it's latched on. Once you use a little bit of force, the little ends over here will click down, and it should be secure in there. So far we've installed this APU into the motherboard and the RAM. Now the last thing I'm going to do, I believe, is the cooler. So give me a second, I gotta find some thermal paste. So on your CPU or APU, all we want is a small little dot, the size of a grain of rice or a pea. I'm using this by Arctic. It's the MX4 thermal compound. So it's worked fine for me, so this is what we will be using. So give me a second. That is legit all you need. Wait, sorry. Wait a second. There we go. That is legit all you need for that. Not that much. So next we're gonna find the orientation for a cooler and then install it. So this cooler has a little clip here, which is gonna go, we're not gonna take those little these off. So we're gonna clip them on there, and then it has a way to tighten it. So that's how we're gonna be attaching this cooler onto the CPU. Next, you put the other side in there, and then you pull this lever, and what it does is actually tightens up inside of there, and this is what it should look like. Now it's ready to go inside of our case. Now I recommend connecting the cables at this time for this, because trust me, later on in the case it's going to be a pain in the ass. So on the motherboard, you want to find the 4-pin that says for the RGB I showed you earlier, which was the white one, which was addressable, and the other one was for the fan. It's a 4-pin, and it's going to be labeled on the motherboard CPU fan. So that is what we've decided, and now I'm just gonna fix this cable so it looks nicer, and then we can actually install this into the case today. Things that are missing are, I believe, the PSU, the power supply unit, and the graphics card. But other than that, I have the memory too, so we might install that as well, and this fans. So let's get this started. Here's the tough gaming case, and this will be the home for the new motherboard. I'm gonna throw these two fans in there and put in the motherboard, and then that'd be all for right now. And then in part 2 I'll show you guys how to install the graphics card and cable management and some other cool stuff, so stay tuned. But yeah, can I just say these fans actually look really good. Talking about fans, there's gonna be 3 in the front, 1 here as you can see, and then these 2 are gonna go up there. So it's going to be a completely air-cooled system. This case is awesome. It's almost as good as my Meshify C. So, but yeah. So let's commence putting in fans and putting the motherboard. Maybe I'll show you what the motherboard looks like before I end this video inside this case. But yeah, just stay tuned. Now the nice part about this is that the IO shield comes installed with the motherboard, so easy installation for sure. But there she is. She's inside the case. I already installed the 2 Cooler Masters Scythe, I think they're called the Scythe fans, 120 millimeters. I'm gonna start putting some of the cables from the front panel, connect those because those are going to be a pain later on. What else do I need to do? Oh, I need to install the rear fan. I took it out because I needed to make sure that the motherboard was going to go in nicely. Also, so I could figure out which way I'm going to route the cable for the fan. I think I figured out where I want to connect it, but as you can see at the top, those cables for the RGB and this fan have been cleaned up. So yeah. Now let me show you some of the things I did in the back. First things first, I think a lot of tutorials kind of forget that to mention that again, this isn't really a tutorial, but kind of turning into one. Not really, but fan splitters, very important. Because you never know how many headers you have on the motherboard. So I'm using to reduce the amount of I do have enough with this fan splitter, so essentially it takes the 2 fans and combine them into one. Lucky for me, the RGB is also daisy chained, so if you look down here, I daisy chained them together, and then I have a RGB splitter kind of thing that came included with the case, which is mint, which means I can control the RGB with the front or the front button, or connecting it directly into the motherboard. So yeah, I'm gonna start wiring some of this stuff in. There's the back plate. But yeah, so far it's coming out pretty sweet. The 2 fans on top are loose, so I could position them how I see please, whatever. Again, I gotta install that rear fan again and make sure that's in there nice before I tighten the top 2 fans. Make sure there's enough clearance. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Like I said, I'm still waiting for the graphics card and the power supply. No, well, the power supply, of course, but what was I gonna say? The power supply. What else? I'm missing something. The memory's gonna go here. I have a SSD. Actually, let me find that real quick. I actually have a terabyte from forgot the company of this. I want to say Silicon Power. Yep, Silicon Power. That's it. So this thing's gonna have a gig. So I'm gonna do that. Right, I'm gonna install it right here. And then What else? What else? Graphics cards come in. Power supplies come in. I think that's it. Then I just pretty much have to cable manage, I think. I also have these red sleeves by Asia Horse. If I definitely recommend that brand, Asia Horse. I used it on my other build. Of course, they're not red; they were gray, but really great quality. So I'll be adding that to this case when the power supply comes in. It's gonna be a red and black theme, since my other build is cyan, I guess cyan blue. So this is gonna, even though the other ones, it's funny, the other build I have is totally team red because the graphics card is also from AMD. I was originally gonna transfer that build into this case because technically it's all tough branded stuff. That's the reason why I bought this case, because I really like their line. But at the same time, I was just like, nah, I really like that Meshify C. It's just an amazing case. So I left that there and decided to make this my entertainment system. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So I gotta figure, what am I doing? So I'm gonna install the memory, wire up some of the front connectors so I don't have to do it later, and do a little bit of cable management. And the fan, of course. And then, yeah. And then once I get the other two parts, we'll put it together and turn it on and see if it posts. And luckily hopefully it does, because I'm not really sure. Like I said, that motherboard box was a little bit banged up. So I'm hoping for the best and expecting the worst. So let's put this together, and that's it for tonight, I guess. So next time you see me, I'll hopefully have a power supply unit. I believe it's EVGA, I don't remember. They're really hard to find, the power supplies now because of the pandemic and stuff like that. So it's, well, reasonably priced. Let me fix that first. That they're not really reasonably priced anymore like they used to be. But yeah, I'm gonna put this all together, and I'll see you next time for sure. Have a good one.